Good afternoon, everyone. I'll now call the Agricultural Advisory Committee meeting to order and welcome everyone. And without further ado, we'll get right into the agenda here. Do we have any disclosures regarding any of the items on the agenda? Seeing none, could I have an approval of the agenda as presented for Councillor McHugh, Mr. Cruz? Any further questions, comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Now I ask for approval of the minutes of the March 18th Agricultural Advisory meeting and entertain any errors, omissions in the minutes or questions. Councillor McHugh moves. Ms. Grills seconds. Any questions or comments regarding those minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried.
Just under, I'll do it under new business. I'll do that.
Okay. Well, put your mic on there and everyone can hear.
I'll do it under new business.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll get right into the public meeting. Do we have anyone in the public who would like to address? Doesn't look like there's a big crowd out here unless Rhonda wants to wear two hats here. And thank you for coming, Rhonda. Okay, presentations. I was just wondering where, Brian, where do you want to fit him in there or staff reports or?
We vote on that?
Okay.
I'm easy, whatever works.
Okay. All right, well, we can do the presentations, delegations, and staff reports. Okay, floor is yours, sir.
Good afternoon. As I was walking out the door I was on my way to the Ontario Farmland Forum's annual general meeting after this meeting. The Ontario Farmland Forum is an organization that's been around for about 20 years, and their purpose, of course, is to preserve farmland. And, of course, being a farmer and being a director on the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, we're all about preserving farmland. So this group allows, will hold an easement for your farm, and I might not have the terminology just right, but what it really does is it makes sure that your agricultural land stays in agriculture in perpetuity. I think there's a time frame on it, I think 1,000 years, but that's a long time for most of us to consider. But anyway, they have an annual general meeting in Elora every year, and I was on my way to attend that. And just to give a brief presentation on a couple of the speakers that are memorable, the opening speaker was from Saskatchewan, and he talked about the climate change, and he's from a part of Saskatchewan where if they have about 1 less millimeter of rain a year, they would be considered a desert. So it's that dry where they come from. So of course he's talking about, you know, if the climate changes in the drier direction, they'll need to talk about different crops that they grow in that area. And I made the point that, you know, what happens in Saskatchewan might be might be different here. You know, we might be dealing with excess water, whereas they might be dealing with not enough water. And he took that point. And the final speaker of the day was from Agriculture Canada, and he was talking about the ecological habitat provided by drainage ditches. So you know, the Drainage Act allows municipal drains to be constructed, and I think the number that he quoted, and again, this was a couple of months back, so was around 48,000 kilometers of municipal drains in the province, and they provide significant wildlife habitat depending on how they're managed. So the point is, there are good ways to manage municipal drains, and there are bad ways to manage municipal drains for wildlife habitat, which leads directly into a nice segue into what I really want to talk about today is a proposal to provide for a policy that would allow the municipality to enter into an agreement with a farmer to enter into a mutual agreement drain. So, you know, this is the perfect spring to recognize the importance of tile drainage, and we need to be able to outlet that tile drainage to, obviously, the lowest point. And quite often, the lowest point might be a municipal roadside ditch. Now, we have a long history and a long practice of cooperation with the municipality where this has happened and without issue. And I'm just proposing that we formalize that a little bit. And again, talking about the Drainage Act is you know, as a layman, I divide it into two parts. I divide it into the part where it does allow the construction of a municipal drain, but it also allows for simply two parties to enter into an agreement, a mutual drain agreement, where one party agrees to accept the water from another party. So in this case specifically, what we're talking about is the municipality agreeing to take water from a tile drainage outlet in a roadside ditch. Again, a practice that's gone on forever, and I just am interested in formalizing that. And that would be registered with the city, and the city would know where that drain is. So if there was any ditching done, they'd be aware that there was an outlet there, and they ought to be, you know, try not to hit it. Anyway, that's what I'm proposing, and open to discussion if anyone wants to talk about it.
Mr. Angelo, do you have any, I'll let you maybe from the city side maybe comment on it if you wish, and then we can entertain any questions after that. Get both sides of the technical end of it, and then maybe even Rhonda might want to comment, I'm not sure. So we'll leave it at that.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Cruz, for your presentation tonight. I know you and I have chatted for the last year or so about these tile drains into municipal ditches and across municipal roads. And I'm in agreement that we need to do a policy or a permit process that will look at grandfathering existing drains the way they are now and how we deal with future ones. So I have the policy just about done. We're just working through the permit process part. And then what I'm planning on doing is circulating that to this committee for your review consideration. And hopefully you'll take it to some of your colleagues, Mr. Cruz, and get some input. But at the end of the day, it's really just, in my viewpoint, trying to put in place a framework that will provide this type of service going forward. And I know we've worked extremely well with the agriculture community in the past, but it's really trying to protect those existing drains that are within the road allowance and then give an avenue for a permit process or a municipal drain or the type of that going forward. So I'm hopeful within the next month or so we'll be able to roll this out in draft format for stakeholders to take a look at and review back, and then we'll put it back through council after that.
Thank you very much. Do you have any comments, Rhonda, in your regard to the drainage, or as far as it would impact conservation, I guess?
It's draining in the roadside.
If you want to just go up to the lectern, please. We're on camera here, so everybody
Sorry.
needs to be
If
heard.
it's draining into roadside ditches, we don't regulate that. It's only if it's going directly into a watercourse or a wetland, so.
Ms. Girls, you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Turn the mic on, sir, please. Just press the button. Yeah, there you go.
I have a question. We have part of our farm is tile drained. We know some of those tile drains are no longer working properly. Can we go and just re-drain that without permission? Like just put in new tile drainage?
Through Mr. Chairman, my opinion is yes. What we're trying to do is any new outlets to a city's drainage ditch is we want to issue a permit or some sort of agreement for that. So it protects the municipality and protects the landowner and gives you that permission to have that drainage tile there and the outlet for that. But from my understanding is you can go in, if there's damage to your tile drain in your fields now, you can go and repair that, and you don't need consultation with the municipality.
Mayor Harrison?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. Brian mentioned that, there are tile drainage on your neighbor and that the outlets come towards your property. And what's the recourse if you don't agree with that?
Are you referring to when a neighbor may be putting his water on you?
That's right.
Yeah, and again, I can't give legal advice, and I'm not an expert in this area, but that's a civil matter.
See, that's what needs to be put into this. We don't want to get into all these civil lawsuits because nobody wins, and it costs a fortune. So that's something that has to be dealt with before we approve this, as far as I'm concerned. We don't just, the the answer to this is not just to take the water down the ditch to whatever you're going to do with it, because that may overload what you already have in that particular situation. So that's something I feel very strongly about. And, you know, there are certain regulations that, you know, I was always under the impression that if I have tile on my property and my outlet is on my property, then I don't need a permit. That's my take on it, but, you know, if I'm wrong, you correct me, but that's the way I've always tiled, because I've been fortunate. I do have a creek on my property, and the creek does go to the Stockdale Road and out to the river. So, but I think that's a very important part of this process.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, you're exactly correct, Your Worship. I think what we're trying to do is just regulate or have some sort of mechanism in place to approve tile drains out to the city's drainage ditch, so that there's that approval in place that the landowner would have with the municipality, so that if in fact we go to reconstruct a roadway, everybody knows going forward that that is an approved outlet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, one consideration to remember, in this part of the province, you know, our tile drainage outlets are, you know, 4, 6, or maybe 8 inches. Whereas other parts of the province, the tile drainage outlets might be 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 inches. We just rarely have enough land in one block that we would direct all of that water in one pipe to one outlet. So the outlets in this part of the province are generally insignificant compared to other parts of the province. And the point I'm making is, it would be a rare occasion, I think, in this municipality, and I'm not saying never, but it would be a rare occasion where a tile drainage outlet would significantly overload the municipal roadside ditch. And remember, most of this water is going there anyway, either running off the farm or through. And now the proposal would be to put it in a tile drain, but much of it ends up in the roadside ditch anyway. Certainly, the difference now is it's a point source, and there needs to be consideration with erosion and that sort of thing at this point source. But generally speaking, this is, in this part of the province with our smaller fields, you know, 20, 30, 40 acres at most, versus 3 and 4 and 5 and 600 and 1,000 acres perhaps, all of that water going in the same place. It's much different, and the considerations aren't as great in this part of the province as it is in perhaps in some other parts of the province. And I'm not saying never does tile drainage outlet in a roadside ditch cause a problem, but you know, maybe Mr. Angelo could speak to this, but it's a rare occasion, I would think.
Through Mr. Chairman, in all my 31 years here, I haven't seen an issue being created from a tile drain out to a city ditch. At some points, we have to look at some farmers want to have the outlet lower than our city ditch system, and we've accommodated that by doing some drainage improvements at the farmer's expense. But all that's sort of going to be laid out in this policy document. There will be exceptions, I would imagine, in the future. If there is a 10-inch or 12-inch or 15-inch drainage tile being put in, then there will be additional sort of maybe a study or erosion control measures that will have to put in place. But it's rare in our area to have that drainage tile like that.
Councillor McHugh.
Yeah, thank you. Through you to Director Angelo. If you're bringing a report back anyhow, would the report come back here first before it goes to council so we can peruse it, or directly to council?
Through Mr. Chairman, directly through this committee first, with some stakeholder consultation as well, that I'm hoping Mr. Cruz can help me with to get the Agriculture Committee's input into it. We've sort of modeled it after, I'm not going to say Northumberland County because I really didn't like the system that they had put in place, but we've looked at other tile drainage policies across Ontario, and I'm trying to make this not too onerous and make it very simple, but gives the approval for those outlets into the city's drainage system. So,
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, you know, I appreciate what you're doing. It sure isn't simple, and it isn't easy, and it won't be, because as Brian has referenced, in some places there's 10 and 12 and 15-inch outlets. But the other side of this coin too is that a farmer may have four outlets coming into one particular drainage system. And that overloads the system or floods the land, whichever way you look at it. And those are the things that you are going to have to somehow deal with, and it isn't easy, because everybody is trying to improve the land and improve the ability to grow a crop, and not just the quality but the quantity. And you have to respect the neighbor and what he's doing or trying to do. Thank you.
Brian?
I would like to say, just as a final point, but, never say never, something to consider is, and I should make the point that some municipalities do say point blank, no tile drainage outlets in municipal roadside ditches. But there is a plan B. The plan B is the municipal drain system that we talked about earlier, and we don't have them here. It is vitally important that the agricultural tile drainage be able to outlet into, we have one. Yes, we have one. I stand corrected. One short one. And I will make the point, like I said, never say never. So it is vitally important that we be able to continue to outlet tile drainage into roadside ditches. And the plan B, as I said, is a municipal drain. So if there is not a policy and the municipality said, no, you can't do it, my advice to that farmer would be to petition for a municipal drain. So you would turn that roadside ditch into a municipal drain. And that is allowed under the Act. So, it's certainly in the municipality's best interest to simply, because it's involved with the municipal drain. So it's certainly within the municipality's best interest to work cooperatively, like they always have, like this municipality always has, and work towards a policy that works for everybody to avoid the municipal drain scenario. And that is the plan B that would be open, that, if the simple mutual agreement drain didn't work, then the alternative is a municipal drain, and we don't want to go down that road.
Ms. Grills?
For instance, if you had your tile drains drained into the ditch along the road, and the neighbor across on the other side fills in the ditch, so there's no place for that water to go, what happens then?
Through Mr. Chairman, we have a site alteration bylaw that prohibits people from doing similar situations like you just said. And if that were to happen, then engineering staff and bylaw staff would go out and investigate and then make sure the corrections are made to that drainage system.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Brian, and I was going to make a comment, but I can wait. It's just...
If that ditch that the neighbor filled in was a water course, I think the Conservation Authority would likely take exception to that as well. So there's lots of recourse if a neighbor fills in a ditch.
Mr. Mayor?
Lots of recourse, but not necessarily a fast solution. Yeah. Yeah, right, you got me off tack. I've forgotten what I was going to mention. Hey?
It just floods the road.
Yeah, that's the other part of this, but, yeah. I'll have to come back to it. I've lost my train of thought.
Old timer moment, maybe. Just a comment. From time to time, and I know Councillor McHugh and I, we drive through portions of the Ottawa Valley, west of Ottawa, I guess, and I've noted there's a lot of flat farmland there, and there's one strip of land that I recall in particular alongside the roadside, and they're big fields, but they have cement collection, I don't know what you call them, pits or whatever, but in the spring of the year or late in the fall, if there's heavy rains, they're wired with electricity, and you'll see a big discharge pipe about 4 inches anyway that I've seen when you drive, you know what I mean, they're west of, I can't think of the little village now, but anyway, it's pumping out of the collection pit, if you want to put it that way, out into the ditch. And there's quite a big discharge, but it's wired. Just like a sump, I guess you'd say a sump hole, or what you'd have in your house. It must be when it drains of the field, it fills this, and then the pump comes on and then pumps it out. But I know I've drove by there several different times, and it's running steady. I don't know whether it will run 24 hours a day, but I just wondered, does that have any different thing? Because our issue as far as the outlet into the, would they have to have a special permit or whatever? Because it looks like the field is lower than that, but to get rid of it, they've got to pump it up into another, I guess, receptacle if you want, or drainage area to get rid of it, so.
Without actually seeing it in person or seeing some pictures of it, I'm guessing it's probably something like a surge tank, so all the water goes into that off the field, and it's a controlled discharge by pumping it out of that over a longer period of time to control the amount of water going out to the city ditch system. I'm assuming that's probably what it is.
No, I've never seen one around here like that. Normally, well, I know when Kells has just finished theirs over on Hamilton Road, you can see where the outlets are, and they done a lot of tile drainage there last fall. And, but this one here, I've seen it over a few years that I've been going back and forth by there and at certain times of the year, and there's quite a discharge of water coming out of there, especially when it's a wet portion of the year or, and what have you. But it's a different setup than what normally you see around here, where it's just gravity in a sense. Yeah.
When you go to a municipal drain like we have, the municipal drain we have is a cost-sharing drain. And whether you like it or not, if you have a land abutting that drain, you will be assessed a certain share of that municipal drain. And that's the way we did the May drain. In fact, I think at the time, the money that was spent on the so-called municipal drain would have tile drained that complete property and taken it to the, I think, Hutchison Creek, if I'm right. Anyways.
Chris, we know who we were dealing with, and they were pretty adamant in how we handled it, and so we tried to be diplomatic, I guess, in getting all the sides. But I know there were some neighbors weren't happy with the assessment. I'll put it that way. Back in the day, in the '90s, there when that was going on. But have we had to do much? I guess maintenance cleaning that out. I know there was supposed to have been from time to time had to be assessed and see if it was silting in or whatever. But I know Mr. Lang pretty much has all the land around it now. So
He does. Unfortunately, though, I think in the next year or two, we're going to have to do an assessment of that drainage system and then probably clean it out and assess the cost to all the benefiting factors or properties around there. So it's probably going to have to happen in the next couple of years because it hasn't been touched since it was originally installed many years ago. So.
welcome back, Brian. Do you have any thing in the planning end of it as far as drainage and that you handle with in plans and stuff like that and change of ownerships and stuff?
Nothing that I can really add to this conversation. I think the important thing is that obviously having a policy or having some kind of system in place allows you also to regulate and to see what kind of discharge is going out to the city ditches. So that's an additional control mechanism for the city. And again, this would only respond or only relate to land getting tile drained out to a municipal ditch. It wouldn't relate to the issue that the mayor spoke to around private property owner to private property owner. But yeah, nothing else to add other than that.
Thank you very much. Pardon?
I say, Rhonda, have any?
Do you have anything more to comment on, Rhonda? No? Okay, thank you. Any other things you want to bring up, conservation-wise? Anything new and from that end, or? Government hasn't changed too much in the last little bit. I know we had a meeting last Thursday and you filled us in on some of the stuff, but I didn't.
Nothing new since Bill 5 and 17.
Okay. Okay, Brian, Mr. Cruz, is there anything else under this drainage, or I guess our big thing will be now to wait for Chris's, I guess, draft plan, and then we'll take a look at it and comment on it and go from there, and you and he can get in touch with the various entities that he needs information from. So,
Mr. Chair, we had when you and I were in Murray, we had a couple of issues. You remember where they were? The neighbors were battling over water and drainage, and anyways, it was difficult. We did. It's okay.
That one was the big one in the '90s that I recall was the May drain.
Yeah,
But there's always been issues with some
ones,
people complaining about other people dumping water on them and what have you.
But over the time that
Yeah.
we've been around, we haven't had a lot of
No.
issues to deal with. They've been handled well by our staff, so thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll get down to Harvest Hastings. I had it first, but I thought we'd discuss Brian's because we have a nice letter here from Harvest Hastings. Gail, are you still part of that You know, okay. Anyway, I guess it's pretty much as the letter says, they appreciate our donation, I guess, and we do that every budget. I think there's a written line there to support them, and they look at it as though they're very appreciative, and it does some great things and helps the area, so. I don't know if we need to respond to that, I guess, just to receive it, I guess. So, anyway, it's very nice to get a thank you, I guess, from time to time, and they're using the. So I guess, is there any other business you'd like to bring forward at this time? Chris, do you have anything?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman, no, thank you.
Okay. I know in the past, Mr. Keating, and he isn't here today, he's always questioned about sight lines and brushing, and I think Andrea here, I think, is different times maybe passed along his comments, but I thought if he was here today, he'd probably be bugging you about that, especially if you were coming, and that he wasn't happy with some of the brushing and I guess the sight lines on the, intersections of some of the back roads and side roads. Yeah, so, anyway, we'll leave that as it is, so if there's not anything, okay, Gail?
I got one comment about brushing. That thing that does the brushing never comes over the bridge at Glen Ross. So from Rosebush Road up through to Carmel Road and Anderson Island never gets brushed because that brusher won't go over the bridge at Glen Ross.
Well, there's nothing there anyways.
I'm just saying, like, there's places on the road that should have been brushed. As a matter of fact, you should be paying my grandson for going cutting down some of the trees.
Thank him, because I know what he's done and I've seen.
Yeah.
You haven't got your mics on here, folks. Maybe just as well. Okay, any other business or concerns? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, you got something else?
I just wanted to mention under new business.
Turn on your mic there, sir.
Sorry. Under new business, make sure that when correspondence is sent to Andrea, that she gets that correspondence out to members of the committee before the meeting, or come out with an agenda, whatever. What's our timeline for agendas to be put out?
A week before the meeting.
Pardon?
A week before the
Okay,
meeting.
that's good. All right. We'll adhere to that. Thank you.
I know we had a little conflict this time trying to find a day that would work for everybody, and it was hard to, I guess, appease everybody's concerns, but we come to a consensus, I guess, for most, and then we've had a couple that still didn't show for us, so. Anyway, we had a quorum, and that's the main thing, so. Any other business? Over to Councillor McHugh, seconder. Mr. Cruz, thank you. Thank you all for your attendance, and have a good rest of your day. And I guess as far as our meetings, next one is subject to, I guess, maybe September if we have enough business. Maybe, Chris, you'll have that report or draft report then, or you think that'll be a bit soon?
Well, through Mr. Chairman, I think what I'll do is I'll circulate it to Mr. Cruz so he can start taking a look at it over the summer season, and then we'll probably arrange a couple meetings so we can go through it if there's questions, and then I'll bring it back to this committee for the next meeting then in September.
Okay. I know sometimes we've skipped September if there hasn't been anything, and we've rescheduled it till a little later in the fall, but we'll play it by ear, I guess, at the time, see what comes up. Anyway, thank you, everyone, and I know most of us will see each other from time to time, but if we don't, have a good summer and enjoy yourself, because it's a very short one. It seems to come quick and go quick.
I want to just, you and I and Dave meet with Chris Angelo for 5 minutes.
Yep. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, Swapno.